And now to the bulletin where U.S. President Joe Biden plans to defend his troops' withdrawal from Afghanistan in a major speech to the United Nations, arguing it was needed to shift U.S. policy to focus on a global challenge from China and climate change. Mr. Biden will make his first appearance at the United Nations since taking office as president in January. He faces criticism of Afghan pullout and handling of an Australian submarine deal that has angered France, a key ally in countering China. Ahead of the UN General Assembly, the US President met with the UN Secretary General, with both men stressing their shared values. Now, correspondent ROTIMI Michael KADE has been following events ahead of the UN General Assembly, and he joins us now from New Jersey. Now, ROTIMI, President Biden has some fences to mend at the UN. What's your sense of what his priorities are going into this General Assembly?
Well, Aaron, first of all, I think President Biden is going to be making his first speech as president at the UN much later today, and this is very significant because for the first time, he's going to be in the world stage to make America's statements going forward compared to what has been in the past 4 years of President Donald Trump. That America is going to be charting a new course to foreign policies, but it has received a lot of skepticisms in the past 8 months that it's been in office because of the isolatory move that he has embarked on ever since then. Allies actually thought that Biden would be more cooperative compared to Donald Trump's America's First policy. But there have been differences in how Biden sees the world. For instance, in terms of the coronavirus capabilities of the United States and how the United States wanted to, get it to the rest of the world in terms of how U.S. Unilaterally pulled out of Afghanistan without, due consultations with allies in Europe, NATO, and other allies across the world. And more recently, the diplomatic spat with France, how he blindsided France to make negotiations with Australia to deliver the nuclear submarines, which of course will be one of the things that will be addressed going forward. On the sidelines of the meeting, Biden is not going to be meeting with the French President Emmanuel Macron. Rather, it will meet with Australian Prime Minister Morrison and, of course, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. And much later on Friday, he's going to be meeting with the courts, talking about the Prime Ministers of Japan, India, and, of course, Australia, to talk about and how to strengthen the Indo-Pacific relationship.
Yeah, it seems like President Biden has a lot on his plate. But more widely, what are some of the key themes that he was talking about at this year's assembly?
Well, first of all, I think Biden will be looking forward to telling the world that America is back and can lead the world again. Is not going to be leading the world in isolation, which is very much in doubt, as I expressed earlier. And also is going to be pressing the rest of the world on climate change. That America is making frantic efforts to lead in that area, and would also want China to be responsible in its economic dealings with the developing world. We also believe that he's going to be making emphasis on international terrorism, and also seeing the possibilities of economic prosperity with allies.
All right, ROTIMI, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres will be giving his address first today, and is already warned of a new Cold War given the frosty relationship between the US and China. How much of a real prospect is this?
Yes, so the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, actually expressed a concern about a US-China relationship, and he told President Biden that he wants a relationship that is more cordial. But the White House press secretary actually quickly condemned that assessment. She said yesterday that the relationship between China and the United States is not of conflict, but that of a competition. And U.S. will move aggressively to curb China's excesses, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, and also on some involvement in the Middle East more recently.
Right. So what else are some key points that we should be looking out for in these addresses?
Well, Biden will definitely try to repose confidence in America's leadership in the world. He will also want to extend hand of friendship to, America's supposedly foes, and also strengthen America's dominance economically. And for instance, what we've seen over the past few weeks about the defense contract with Australia. But more importantly, I think Biden will be talking about the coronavirus pandemic and the challenges and how to help developing or underdeveloped nations. Don't forget also, there's also the issue of migration, mass migration from developing countries to developed economies. So he's going to be addressing that according to what we got from the White House more over the past 24 hours. And most likely also is going to be having some sort of relationship, talking about meetings, I should say, with some of his allies going forward in terms of how to reduce global climate greenhouse gases.
Well, I want to say many thanks to you, ROTIMI and Michael KADE. We know you will be monitoring the UN General Assembly.